You've just stepped into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age and experience. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We are two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we are here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating your career, growing your business, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So, buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I am Wayne. I almost forgot, Stacy. I am Coach Wayne Dawson, the VIP coach, and I really focus on helping brothers go through midlife without crisis so that their second half can be their best half. And I want to introduce to you the cold Stacy M. Lewis, who is freezing to the bone. Stacy.
Yes, indeed, Wayne. I am certainly a little bit chilly. It is indeed the winter season, although winter has not officially begun. But I'm excited to be here. Welcome, everybody, to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. As Wayne said, I am Coach Stacy M. Lewis. I'm a nonprofit executive. I am a lover of God and his people, and I'm a midlife women's coach for midlife women of color. And I'm so excited to be here today with my partner in podcasting crime, Mr. Wayne Dawson, who forgot his name. But that's a whole nother story. So welcome again to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Today, we are continuing our Midlife Compass series. And today's episode is really focused on the comparison detox, finding peace with who you are. We encourage all of our viewers and our listeners to stay tuned through the end of the episode, as we will be dropping nuggets around acknowledging and reframing comparison, focusing on your unique journey, gratitude as a tool for moving forward, setting boundaries on external influences, and embracing community as we talk about the Midlife Compass series. So, Wayne, last episode, we talked about reconnecting and reflecting as part of our vision setting, right? We're really moving into, with this Midlife Compass, talking about vision setting. This is the season to think about what you want 2025 to look like for you in every aspect of your life. And as a midlifer, it is important that we think about where we've been and that we reconnect with the things that are most meaningful to us. And so that's what we talked about last episode. Encourage our listening and viewing audience to check it out. And today we are talking about comparison and the comparison detox, really breaking the comparison cycles. Wayne, where would you like to jump in, my fine partner?
Hey, Stacy, you shared some real nuggets about what we're going to be doing at the end of the day today in this podcast. So folks, get your pen and paper out if you're still using that, or your iPad or your notepads or your whatever you use to record some prompts to get you started. This is a time of the season that you talked about it, Stacy, that people tend to reflect and do an assessment of where they are and how they want to move forward. And as we talk about creating visions, outside of the review, we got to do some preview, right? Which is to look forward, look ahead, and start getting ready to do it. Start preparing. Don't wait until it's 2025 to actually jump in. And one of the things that, as you pointed out, Stacy, we tend to do is, as we move forward, we tend to compare oftentimes ourselves with our old self,
Mm-hmm.
but also with people around us and the expectations that others have for us. And we can only do this walk in our shoes, right? So at the end of the day, our greatest competitor is who? Ourselves. And so I think we want to let people know that that comparison, you're not alone. It's a habit that we have formed, most of us, by just our environment. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a process to get it out of our system, which is what we call detoxing.
Yes, yes. I think you're talking about that one type of comparison where we're comparing ourselves to ourselves, um, where we thought we would be, where we thought we should be or think we should be, and how we're really looking at ourselves, um, in a way where we're reflecting on the missed opportunities. We're reflecting on what didn't work and saying, I should be there by now. I should have $1 million in the bank by now. I should, have a flourishing business or a wonderful marriage or, all of my children should have graduated from law school, whatever all of those shoulds are. This idea of comparing ourselves to ourselves, um, can really be toxic. And it is critical that we really acknowledge it as we talk about, the comparison detox, um, to begin to move forward. And so I'm loving what you said.
Yeah. Stacy, in short, we're saying stop shooting on yourself.
Yes, no shooting on yourself, no shooting on yourself. Wayne, are there ways that you have found that men in particular may do or from what perspective, I'll say, from what lens do you find uh, as a man you tend more to should on yourself?
So the comparison thing is great for men. I know that because men are in the habit of trying to prove one up. Strongest man survive, pull yourself
Mm-hmm.
up by the booth strap. This is the mantra that we are raised in, right? And so competition and comparison is just a thing. You run faster, can you drive faster, can you make more money? And a lot of men on the extrinsic level are showing and telling, right, rather than
Mm-hmm.
just being. We're about doing. And I find that the men that I work with, and I'm included, part of when my father told me at a very young age, don't pursue a woman for marriage unless you have a house to put her in. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, again, it wasn't like today where a lot of folks will live together, married or not,
Mm-hmm.
even at home. For us, that's very early. I was told that you have to have something of worth, something material. And obviously, it wasn't that he came from the standpoint of showing off, but if you have a home or a house, it's something out there. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, but true, your neighbor is looking at you to see how big your house is or how well kept the grass is. So men just grew up understanding that part of success, part of achievement was always looking to see that you were sort of ahead of the game or at least in line with your counterparts.
So it sounded like there were both aspects of comparison involved there, right? There was the comparison to self. Do I have that house yet? Or I don't have that house yet. What's wrong with me? And then the comparison to others, right? Is his house as nice as mine or vice versa? Is my house paid off? Is my house, got a nice kitchen? So that comparison to others. And I find that my both myself and many of the women that I have coached, um, that comparison to both self and others can come in the way of family dynamics, right? Is my family doing well? Are we cohesive? Are we, all getting along? Relationship dynamics. Am I, what's so you have the comparison with self. I thought I would be married by now. What is wrong with me? And then you have the comparison to others. She is the same age, and she's got a great marriage. And comparing yourself that way. And so I think it is a really interesting way that the two aspects of comparison, can collide, or kind of interwoven, something like that. Can really become intertwined. That's the word. Can be intertwined with each other.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, my dad, he was a humble man, well achieved, hard worker. He didn't care about brand and all that stuff. He didn't offer
Mm-hmm.
that. But you knew that as a man, part of it was to provide and protect, right? Old school. And so a lot of times you measured, and dads of old didn't really say they were mentoring you. They modeled the behavior and you kind of watched and you picked it up. It wasn't like, okay, son, I'm about to mentor you. So a lot of us had to compare. My dad at this
Mm.
stage did that. This is how my dad did that. And you also compared with other men that you thought were, you know, high value men, how they were doing and how they were performing. And that comparison is true throughout. I think most of the men that I deal with who are looking at success measure success based on those footprints that have gone before them in terms of their mentors and stewards. So it's something that we deal with. Midlife becomes a crisis in many instances because we get to that 40 or so and we're
Mm-hmm.
saying, well, by now I should have had this. I should have started my business. And why should you have started? Well, I'm looking around and these guys did it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's the same for women often. There's also the emotional comparison, where we as women can compare ourselves uh, emotionally. It sounds a little strange, but emotionally, in relationships, emotionally, what we think about our own beauty compared to someone else's, what we think about our youthfulness. I've definitely heard this in some of the women, some of my own cohort, and experienced myself. I can see a sister say that is 60 as well, and feel like, wow, she looks really great. You know what I mean? Like, maybe do I have the bags under my eyes? You know what I mean? Like, how does that make me feel? Or do I have the same sense of self-worth that she's projecting? She seems to really value herself. Do I have that? And so I think that there's a lot of comparison. And I love what you said earlier about the shoulds. Should I be caring for myself or caring for others at a deeper level? Should I be taking on more responsibility, say, to care for my elders, and therefore maybe not be as selfish with the time in caring for myself, or growing my business, or doing the things that I want to do? I think the comparison cycle can really be toxic, really toxic.
Stacey, I want to throw something out, and it occurred to me as we're talking, but the research I think bears it out too. The difference between the genders,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just a statement, a question to you as well. I find that men through midlife have a different level of psychological duress, even though they don't voice it, because where women are going through menopause, that typically speaks to their midlife. It's like a rites of passage. They know almost what to expect.
Mm.
Men psychologically deal with it earlier, and there are no physical comparisons per se that's declared. In other words, a man doesn't say, I'm dealing with some hormone issues or some ED issues or some, men don't say that. A
Mm-hmm.
woman is going through some changes, and they have done enough research and talk about it, and they say, hey, you're going to go the hot flash route, and you might not have that, but you might have some weight gain, or you might not have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Men typically don't have those kind of comparisons, so they
Mm.
suffer quietly, even though they're comparing. That becomes oftentimes where the self comparison eats us up, because we're not sure if the other brother is going through this and how he's dealing with it and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was really good. I think that there are times, you're right, where um, women have that opportunity to have some of those menopause related conversations. Women, I have also witnessed, are tending even more and more to talk about their emotions, but from a healthy place. Like, these conversations are being had, but not, not from a place of weakness, but from a place of strength. Um, and so, yeah, I think that, and we're also still witnessing men experiencing those midlife crises, without a sense of normalization. And
Yeah.
I think that women have worked toward a sense of normalization as it relates to menopause and hormonal changes and emotional health and self-care. And I do agree that men could use a little normalizing around that midlife experience, that midlife transition, in a way that is healthy.
And this is where I think, Stacey, when we project for the future, we talk about vision, the series,
Mm-hmm.
we have to settle into our own and start reframing what we considered abnormal because we're comparing with others, and just own
Mm-hmm.
it. Show some gratitude. And you talked about it in the green
Mm-hmm.
room about strategies, journaling, our unique voyage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we can own this thing and then be realistic in terms of projecting for the future, we're in a better space when we do that sort of visioning than to be in this if I woulda, coulda, should move.
I couldn't agree with you more. You touched on some of those strategies to break free from the comparison cycle, right? To detox ourselves from comparison. And you use the word reframe, and it is about acknowledging and reframing um, what the experience is, right? Recognizing our triggers. What is it that's making me feel this way? What is it that's causing me to compare myself to either someone else or to the vision of where I thought I would be right now? And to really reframe by replacing, right, that negative narrative. You and I often talk about the limiting beliefs, to reframe that thinking in a way that says, I am where I am, and I'm good where I am, and where I'm going is even better. And so I'm going to dispense with what I should have done and say what I'm going to do.
Yeah. To let go of the past, the detox. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say this: if the things, the persons, the activities didn't serve you,
Mm.
it's time to start making an assessment to strain them away. If you have folk around you that are toxic, are not serving you, or didn't serve you last year or in the past, you may need to make some tough calls about freeing yourself of lightening your load as you move into 2025, and leaving those folks in a, you may not necessarily, divorce from family members, you can't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily do that, but put them in a pocket, Stacy, where you know not to share your new ideas with them because they're naysayers, and
So
I
good.
think it's true too in terms of activities. If you find that, we were talking today, Stacy, about me working on that book, and one of the things that I oftentimes lose is perspective in terms of the time to just block everybody and focus on me. And so learning to say no is
Mm.
something that I
Mm-hmm.
have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that today.
Yes, yes, yes. And it is an important, saying no is an important boundary. And, as we are talking about the comparison detox, setting these boundaries on the things that are influencing our comparison, the things that are influencing how we think about us, our time, our energy, our growth, our vision. That we really have the power, right? We have the power to limit how those external influences like social media and conversations with toxic people, um, we have the power to determine and set those boundaries to determine how those things are allowed into our life, how those things are allowed to manipulate, so to speak, our time. And one of the things you also talked about is the fact that, our journey, everyone's journey is unique. And there's such opportunity as we are cleansing ourselves from these comparisons. There's such opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate our milestones, celebrate our successes in a way that says, I may not be, I think I shared with you before that, when I was 48 or so, I said, by 50, I was going to be married. It was the three M's. I was going to be married. I was going to have a master's degree, and I was going to have my motorcycle license. I am 60 plus and I don't have any of
And
those.
be a millionaire,
And
number 4.
I'm thanks, Wayne. And I I have learned well how to celebrate what I do have, how to celebrate the milestones and the accomplishments, um, and to allow those celebrations and those accomplishments to serve as a footstool, if you will, or a new foundation or a rung in the ladder to continue to build new vision.
Yeah. Stacy, I did an exercise and I have shared it with others where when you write uh, what you have accomplished through the past years
Mm,
and you talk about true accomplishments, most of us are in awe because even though we think it's a small thing and sometimes we don't celebrate it, when you stop and you are intentional about really just collecting all the trophies and not to go out and brag, but it's okay to
mhm,
do that, just to reframe and recognize that you are worthy, that you have the ability, and yes, you can. And sometimes we need that thrust in our engine to
mm.
launch us into a new venture, into the new year. And it's okay to take stock and do that, Stacy. Give
Yes,
yourself
yes, it
permission.
is actually encouraged
Yeah.
to do that. And you touched on this thought. of not only, acknowledging, earlier you mentioned gratitude, right? There really is so much we've accomplished. And if you are listening, viewing, part of our fellowship, new to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, both Wayne and I are testaments to the power of gratitude and using gratitude as a tool. In the comparison cycle, we may find that we're not where we thought we would be or where we should be, but we're so grateful to be here and to really have the opportunity to vision forward, to look forward to a tomorrow and what we can do today to begin to make that tomorrow and that future, that 2025 and beyond, more of what we desire it to be.
Yeah. Stacy, before we wind up, we promised folks,
Mhm.
and I would like us to coach them through three or so steps, things
Sure.
that they can do to detox from the comparison mode and get themselves ready for the year ahead.
Mhm.
And maybe you want to jump off with the journaling and the gratitude.
Yes, I think in the last episode, when we talked about reflect and reconnect, we talked about um, the now journal. Really, really acknowledging and celebrating where you are now, doing a little bit of reflection around what have you learned so that you can move forward. And there's such power in writing down what you are thinking and feeling in order to utilize that to propel you forward. So, both Wayne and I am not the greatest journaler. Let me be clear, everyone. I want to be transparent. I'm not the greatest journaler, yet I am working on writing down more of my reflections and my vision. So whether you call it writing down, whether you call it making voice notes, like Wayne said, whether it's in your tablet or a notebook, um, take some time to create your now journal, so that you can really think about where you're moving forward from.
Just don't write it on the sand, Stacy, at the beach. It
On a
won't be
windy
there.
day.
It won't be there when you go back.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. And number two is you talked about social media. Learn to mute social media and recognize that social media is really not necessarily, we have somebody who always says fake news. It is not necessarily real news, right, Stacy? Social media is hyped up. It's not,
Mm,
let's face it, you can edit as much as you want. You can present your best side and make it up and do all that. So people who are out there as influencers that you're comparing yourself with, oftentimes, very often, you're doing better than these guys.
absolutely. And they're on their own path. And so another nugget would be to stay focused on your path. Identify maybe one area in your life where you're most often comparing yourself and begin to um, write down the combating truth or the combating vision or the combating more positive statement, right? So that you are moving out of those shoulds because you're celebrating your own path and you're really identifying the deeper truth about where you are, where you're going, who you are, and what 2025 and beyond is going to look like for you.
Yeah. And Stacey, number three,
Mhm.
before we tell folks how they can get in touch with us and for me to offer a giveaway. Number three is having an accountability partner. Why is
Mm.
that so important? Uh, Sometimes we fail, or sometimes we don't have what it takes to find that extra mile. But when we have committed, especially openly to someone else who, again, remember we talk about detoxing. This is a person then who is supporting you. That person can give you that extra oomph that you need to get to the start line.
Yes, and I love that, because that person is should be someone you trust, not
Yes.
someone that you don't trust. But that person can also remind you of your value, and when you might be comparing yourself to, whether it be yourself in the heyday of your mind, or whether you're comparing yourself to someone else, where that accountability partner can really hold you accountable to being your authentic self and visioning from a place of your own authenticity.
I love it, Coach Stacy. I'm going to sign up for a call with you. You're doing
Come
it
on,
up.
come on over. Come on over. I'll
Yeah,
coach a brother too every now and then.
I hear you, Coach Stacy. Stacy, uh, next week we're going to be continuing the series, and let me take a peek at my notes. We're going to be looking at rediscovering our values to set up our vision for
Yes,
2025.
yes.
Uh, Folks don't want to miss that. That's going to be powerful stuff.
Nope, they don't want to miss that. And I believe they don't want to miss your course, Breaking Free, Discover Your Purpose, Power in Midlife.
Yeah.
And we put the URL here, that is at VIPtransformativeliving.com/course. I
And,
encourage all of our viewers and listeners to pick up Wayne's latest course. It is going to be action packed with nuggets and powerful movement forward. So
and I
there it is
mistyped.
again.
I mistyped. It should be discover your purpose, power, and prosperity in
And
midlife.
oh, that's a
In mid,
big word, y'all, for
yeah,
especially as
yeah,
we talk about 2025, right?
yeah,
Discover
yeah.
your purpose, your power, and your prosperity in midlife. Again, that's at VIPtransformativeliving.com/course.
Thank you, Stacy. And to be
Wayne.
sure, this is not comparing you with apples and oranges. This is about the internal work. This is all about
Mhm.
you measuring what your power is, your prosperity, and your purpose. All right. So,
Yes.
Stacy, how do they reach you for some of the wonderful work you do in terms of transforming lives?
I so appreciate that, Sir Wayne. The reality is I can be reached at thestacymlewis.com. It is Stacy with no E for our listening audience, and Stacy at thestacymlewis.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my most active platform, but I know and love all of y'all on Facebook and YouTube, so don't hesitate to reach out there.
Same for me, Stace. They can connect on LinkedIn or YouTube, a lot of places. But easiest way is to just go on my website and you'll see all of my channels and links. And that's VIPtransformativeliving.com. Go check us out, Stace.
Check us out. I think we're going to put some good links to past episodes in the show notes for this one, because there's a couple of episodes that we touched on, including menopause and last week's episode. So give us a follow at the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. We look forward to just being with you, because you are the revolution.
And we're all over the podcast world. Just check us out as you drive through. Stace, tell the folks goodbye.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Thanks. And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, we truly appreciate your spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments and share it with others. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.